There's a new wave of drug legalization on the horizon. I'm talking about psilocybin, which is a psychedelic compound found in magic mushrooms. But there's a reason behind it, and it may not be what you think. Some advocates say research is pointing to this hallucinogenic drug being a powerful new tool in treating certain mental illnesses. But others say the jury is still out and worry legalization could do more harm than good.
Denver voters appear to have approved a measure to decriminalize psychedelic mushrooms. The measure says the use and possession of psilocybin mushrooms would have been at the lowest law enforcement priority.
What exactly does it mean for the city? Is Denver progressive or reckless?
Colorado's clearly going the wrong direction when it comes to drug use.
A patient says those psychedelic mushrooms have made all the difference in his health.
This is going to revolutionize the way that doctors can potentially treat some of these largely untreatable diseases. I've tried everything that the doctors had to throw at me, and none of it worked. Mushroom shops are not going to be opening up on every corner like you saw with marijuana.
But the thing that is making a lot of headlines around the country, even around the world, Oregon's measures voting on the decriminalization of what are often referred to as magic mushrooms, which now can be used in the state of Oregon for medical purposes for the treatment of things like depression and anxiety.
1 in 5 people in Washington suffer from some sort of mental health issue, and for a lot of them, pills and therapy just don't work. Now, there appears to be new hope in the form of a simple mushroom.
Some people want to use it for their own self-development and betterment without having a diagnosis. Who am I to say they shouldn't do that?
The magic mushroom movement now moving into the mainstream.
Well, joining us is Haley. Now, she began microdosing after COVID lockdowns and says that it has helped immensely with her overall mental health. Now, also joining us is Dr. Norman Freed, a clinical psychologist and a former fellow in clinical and pediatric psychology at Harvard Medical School. Also joining us is Dr. Dena Manion, who we met earlier. I thank both of you for being here and talking about this. And I want to be very clear in being here to discuss this. You're doing just that. You're here to discuss it. You're not here advocating for it. You're not here endorsing it.
Correct.
You're here to discuss it. So I want to be very clear about that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay? And it's worked for you. For sure. You've had very positive results.
Yes, I've seen amazing things happen in my personal life. I had anxiety for the first time, like real anxiety, to where I was on the floor, like crying, and depression had set in, and I felt like I couldn't move. And I had heard about microdosing way long before, and I just kind of, like the download happened. I got interested in it. I talked to my sponsor about it, and I researched and researched and researched it, and I just felt like it was the right thing for me.
Generally speaking, what do people experience when they do microdosing in a proper way?
It's opening up different neural networks in your brain. So if we imagine, as Freud would call, we have an ego, which is the conductor. It's holding the baton and keeping the orchestra of the mind in tune. But when you take psilocybin, all of a sudden, new instruments begin playing, and the conductor loses his baton, and now you can't say, let's slow down on the percussion and raise the cymbals. Instead, it's a cacophony. And in that cacophony, there's a lot of new neural networks that are connecting. And suddenly, you see things, you feel things, you hear things that you didn't even know were there. But what you experience is a dissolution of the self. You no longer feel as if you are subjective. You are now one with the world. Some people describe it as mystical. There's a calming effect, but at the same time, there's a distorting effect. And we don't know yet if that's hallucination, which is the mind imposing order on a disordered experience, or if it really is the ego dissolution where you actually experience something that is there that our brains haven't yet been able to see.
100%.
What's most important is that once you're done with the experience itself, you recognize that what you experienced needs to now be brought to individual therapy so you can talk about it. the connection, the healing piece, and I think you would agree, is in the relationship, whether it's a trip sitter who's helping you in the microdosing, or a psychologist who's calibrating and holding the baton saying, that's a dark, unbidden area. Let's not go there unless you're ready.
All right, well, let's take a break for just a second, and then I want to hear what Dr. Manion has to say about the fact that this does rewire the brain. That can go okay, cannot go okay, and why therapy coupled with this is so important. We'll be right back.